But since we're on this subject about active duty veterans, I'm a huge ally of the LGBTQ community. And I would kind of like to ask the panel, if you don't mind, Lindsay, what about, because Trump is saying he's going to kick out transgender troops. What do we do for the transgender, not even veterans, active duty members that are fearful that they're going to get kicked out, or he's going to, because he's back on Leon's platform again, send out a tweet, even though it didn't work like that. I don't think it worked when, I think Mattis told him you can't do that, the first administration. But what do we say for the transgender troops that are scared to death out there, that they're going to be kicked out because Trump said that he's going to remove them?
I'm going to task that to our lawyers.
Well, the reality is that the president could probably do that, with a few complications along the way. Hopefully, there would be litigation. Hopefully, there would be some things, but I think actually the likelihood of that happening is very high. And so, for any transgender folks who are in the military listening now, I would say now is the time to get your ducks in a row, to do what you can to have the softest landing possible. And I hate to, I really, I feel bad saying putting it that way, but we know what, from a constitutional standpoint, the president has tremendous power as commander in chief. Much of daily life in the military is governed by DoD regulations that are implemented by the commander, that are put in place by the commander in chief and the Secretary of Defense. Based on who Trump has picked for his Secretary of Defense, we can expect things to be bad for quite a while now. And so sometimes, and this is the other thing, sometimes in these situations, we're looking at direct confrontation. Sometimes we're looking at indirect confrontation. Sometimes we're looking at for the soft landing. And for different service members, the choices they will make may be different. And I would also suggest that this is not new. Going back to the Vietnam era, there were many service members who resisted in a variety of ways. Some directly opposed, refused to obey orders. Some committed acts of sabotage. Some had conversations with their buddies and circulated underground newspapers. Some, and when they had the choice, they didn't shoot at the enemy. Resistance looks like many different things, and I think it's important also to let service members know that there are difficult choices, and there's not very seldom is there one simple righteous choice. There's often multiple choices, and that they have to navigate. But this is why having these conversations now is important.
Yeah.
I would also say another group that's really be targeted will not just be transgender troops, but will also be just lesbian and gay and bisexual troops. I think it will be harder for Trump to undo some of those things, those protections. I think it still could be coming. The good news, though, is that well, I'll go back to when Don't Ask, Don't Tell was finally repealed. For people that dealt with service members at the time, it was not a surprise to us that we did not hear massive cases of bad things happening in units when gay service members were allowed to serve openly, because in many units it was already the norm that while some commanders, some NCOs were belligerent jerks, most of the rank and file were not. And so this is also where I'm expecting that many LGBTQ troops are, their buddies are going to have their backs, and there's going to be, when the witch hunts come, and they will, there will be service members, their buddies will say, no, I have no idea if he's gay or not, doesn't matter to me. There will be a variety of kinds of pushback, and part of that still comes back to solidarity, working together, finding those connections. And so now is the time for those conversations with service members, but also now is the time for conversations between service members, building up those networks of solidarity to be ready for what is to come.